if you've been about the block on horror in the internet space, you've probably heard of analog horror. And amongst these franchises, the many franchises that have had analog horror, series made out of them, Jurassic Park is both the one that I think really deserves one, won't get one, and even if it does, I mean, it does have some, but I don't think they don't really hit me as that great. Primarily because a lot of them try to ape the other, you know, analog horror series, FNAF, Vector Carnus, all that jazz. Um, but they don't really bring out Jurassic Park's horror. The case in point. One thing that, funnily enough, you don't see aped from FNAF is the fact that the animals are victims just as much as the people. You don't see that, all of the stuff uses the dinosaurs like you would any other monster in an analog horror. But, it doesn't show that, to be quite frank with you, a lot of the terrible and horrible stuff in Jurassic Park was not happening because of the dinosaurs or was out in the park. It was in the labs, in the other places. It was, case in point, people in Jurassic Park, especially in the novels, they've mistreated the animals. The raptors were, in the novels, said to be aggressive partially because of their DNA, but another big reason, and shown in the sequel, is they were mistreated. They were not treated well. They did not have adequate care for them, and this caused them to essentially turn feral. So, and you don't see that in any of the analog horror series, or the fact that a lot of the people are shit. Case in point, Hammond in the books only really cared about profit. He wasn't really concerned about, people in the novel. Wu, for instance, in the novel, he didn't even know what the hell anything he was making. He was just creating animals without any prior knowledge of their care or if they had the equipment and know-how and supplies to actually take care of the animals. He was just making shit because Hammond was paying him to. And then Muldoon wanted to just kill everything, primarily because of the aggression the animals exhibited, aggression caused by their mistreatment. And well, another aspect of the horror is the actual animal attacks themselves. They're usually more like monster attacks, really. If you've ever watched, for instance, a great example of this is, what was the name of the video? It was the San Diego incident. In the video, this Tyrannosaur attacks a guy, but it's constantly roaring, it's flailing its head all over the place, it's going mad. Like you would expect an animal to be doing when it doesn't want you around, not when it's hunting. One way I would have changed this is that there's this specific scene, a great example. Car comes back to the fence. Guy's like, oh my god, what's going on here? He's got the camera, another thing that's often in analog horror. And, he turns around and the Rex comes up over the fence, starts roaring like crazy. Instead, more comparable to what an actual animal attack would be like, guy turns around and the Rex is just sort of poking its eyes above the fence. Didn't even hear it come up. Doesn't make a sound. It just lunges at him. And he gets in his house and he's like, oh my god, guys, it's been a couple hours. I don't know if it's gone. He's like peeking out. It just lunges towards the window. Instead of, well, if you've watched the video, it's not exactly it doesn't strike me as something like a real animal behavior, you know what I mean? Which, animals are living things too, but being attacked by a lion is pretty scary, especially in the dark. Especially when it's not making any sound and is just coming at you. I mean, it's pretty spooky. And a lot of that's just not in the analog. It feels like discount. If you replace the dinosaurs with just random genetic monsters, it would be no different, really. It doesn't feel like, for instance, the Five Nights at Freddy's stuff. The imagery shown is supposed to convey the concepts, specifically the more terrifying concepts of Five Nights at Freddy's, to the viewer. That's analog horror. Jurassic Park's analog horror, the only thing it really conveys is the dinosaurs will kill you, and that's basically it. You don't get any of the fact that, for instance, by law, in the Jurassic Park setting, and hell, even in real life, the dinosaurs have no protection. Literally, these animals have no rights. We can test and experiment on them. We can do whatever the fuck we want to them. Literally, if you vivisected a velociraptor, if you were doing zoo sadist acts against dinosaurs in the Jurassic Park franchise, the law, as it's written in the setting, wouldn't really be able to do anything to you. Sure, it would change probably eventually, but you'd be surprised how many animals can be fucking molested before that happens. And, those animals are pretty much powerless. I mean, if you have trank darts and automated machinery and all that jazz, it doesn't matter how strong of an animal you are. The fucking, the animals, they're strong, they're dangerous. But the real terrors are the scientists, the people who basically can just do it. Literally, you're on an island in the middle of the ocean. Nobody goes around. So far as the public is concerned, any rumors of an island full of dinosaurs is a fucking hoax or a joke. You can just do whatever the fuck you want. And, nobody knows what Hammond's doing on that island, guys. You don't know. And, you just don't see it, You just, where's my scientific experiments with dinosaurs? Where's the conversations hidden in the video talking about how basically you get managers viewing people's deaths as inconveniences and just covering them up. That the Tyrannosaur died of a seizure. I can't have a fucking king of the jungle dying of a seizure. Make another one. People who fundamentally, images and stuff that convey that Jurassic Park is essentially a shit place. The animals are being abused, the people are being abused, and sure, animal attacks can be scary, but what happens when, what's scary? Oh, just getting mauled by a Rex, or having to be an unwilling participant to horrible scientific experiments to, sure, they're scary animals, but they're animals, You've seen the Rex do goofy stuff yourself, and now you're gotta cut it open alive and do whatever the doctor tells you to, or else you're fired and will probably be sued into bankruptcy forever. And none of that kind of stuff. I mean, it's spooky stuff, man. It's the sort of, it's really the true horror of Jurassic Park, among other things. And so far as I've seen, none of the analog horror really takes into advantage of any of this stuff. It's like I've said, it feels like that a lot of the people who make it either try to ape off of other franchises, or they're just doing sort of generic horror stuff, without actually taking into consideration both what analog horror is and the various really fucked up concepts. And I mean, hell, if you want to get to it, people love misshapen human figures in their analog horror. There was the half dinosaur, half people. By law, there's, again, you're on an island, nobody's around. There are giant carnivorous animals you can use to dispose of any bodies. I mean, all, Why did you make me like this? And none of that gets fucking, shown in any of the analog horror. It's, you know, it's really a disservice to both analog horror and Jurassic Park. Though, to be honest with you, I don't think Jurassic Park's ever going to get horror stuff that's genuinely good or even get it at all. Not, but I mean, it's obviously there. But if you know what happened to Jurassic Park operations and the excuses that Universal gave, oh, we don't want to ruin the image of our brand. Bro, do you not remember what happened to Eddie? What was the raptor hunter scene in the fucking long, don't go into the long grass? What's all that about? That's not at least a pseudo horror scene, if not a full blown horror scene. Hell, I had fucking nervous thoughts about it when I was a kid. Fucking dinosaurs jumping out of the dark and grabbing me. Yeah, like that one fucking guy said, I forget his name of his channel, but he was talking about how he had terrifying dreams of tyrannosaurs and stuff, of Tyrannosaurus Rexes. I had those same things, and here Universal is saying that or at least from what I can get, they said they essentially think horror will ruin the brand image of Jurassic Park. The saying. Does anybody forget fucking Muldoon? You guys filmed that. You filmed it, and his face is gone. And you're over here telling me the little spooky, scary stuff is gonna ruin your brand image. Yeah. So, to be honest with you, I could totally expect that we'll probably see the vanishing of this stuff pretty soon. Or at some point, I could imagine it. I Judging by how operations went, I do not believe for a second Universal is going to like analog horror of Jurassic Park at all, especially ones that actually go into, a genuine analog horror, a genuinely good one. Like some of the FNAF ones. You got Meme Bear, you got Squimpus McGrimpus, you got Baddington, those people. They're kind of content where it's horror. Sure, it's a little psychedelic and a little weird, but it conveys to you the terrifying concepts of FNAF. And I think they could do great Jurassic Park analog horror, but I don't think Universal's going to want any of that. I don't think they're going to want it at all. So, I guess enjoy it while you can. But I guess leave your opinion on what you think of all of that. What kind of scenes do you think would be pretty spooky for an analog horror of Jurassic Park? I guess leave your comments. Assuming anybody watches. Anybody watches who actually wants to comment, I guess, anyways, but meh. Leave a comment. See you in the next video.